Hey, everybody, welcome back to Mondays with Mikayla. This month, we're starting a four-part series for the entire month of May titled How to Set Your Kids Up for Success. And I know that this is important for a lot of young professionals who are starting young families. And there's four main types of accounts that I hear or strategies for how people can kind of help give their kids a leg up or just as a family unit, help be more prepared for the cost of raising children. So we're going to talk about 529s, UTMAs, life insurance as a strategy to help your children, and then also Roth IRAs for kids. But this week, we're going to focus on 529s. 529s are a super popular vehicle for families to help fund future college expenses for a child. So, we're going to talk about, as we go through this series, the strings attached and the benefits of each strategy. 529s are excellent if paying for college is important to you because it's specifically set aside and has tax benefits associated with paying for those types of expenses. So, usually, you're not going to get any federal income tax deductions for 529 plans or putting money into 529 plans, but they're usually operated at a state level. So, you might have some state tax benefits, but across the board, the growth of the 529s are going to grow tax free. The earnings and the growth inside of those accounts is going to be tax deferred. And also, if you do end up paying for those qualified educational expenses, things like room and board, tuition and fees, books, supplies, those sorts of things, then you don't have to pay taxes when you take it out. So that is a really, really nice benefit, but it could also be a downside because what if your kid doesn't go to a traditional college, or what if your kid gets a scholarship? Then you've kind of put your money in this bucket that is specifically and only for college expenses. So it can make it a little bit more challenging. Now they've come out with rules where you can roll some of the money into a Roth IRA for kids, but it's a pretty small amount. So if you've done a really good job of saving, that might not be applicable. One thing I do like to kind of get around that for 529s is that you can roll a 529, say you have multiple kids from one child to the next. So because there are some constraints on what you can spend the money on out of a 529, I don't think it's a terrible idea to set up one for your oldest child and to maybe focus more of your efforts on putting money into that account. And if they don't use it all, you can simply roll it to the next child rather than, say, equally funding for three different siblings, but then two get a scholarship, then only one needs the college funds. I think that that's a way to maybe go about some of the limitations. There are limits as to how much you can put in a 529 plan. Again, those will sometimes vary across states. But I mean, I've seen people put some amounts of money in a 529 plan, none, and large amounts. So there's really no one size fits all there. It's just important to know what you have to spend it on. And the qualified education expenses is key. Now, it is nice because anybody can contribute to a 529. So as a parent, you could contribute, grandparents could contribute, friends could contribute. And though the money that goes into a 529 is counted as a gift, so, in 2025, the annual gift tax or the annual gift tax exemption limit is 19,000 per person. So, 19,000 for one grandparent. If both grandparents were giving, that $38,000. So, they do count as gifts when they're going into it. And it's nice to have a bucket of money. Sometimes people don't always want to give money to a young child, say, oh, they need to better able to manage it. But if you contribute to a 529 plan, it's going to go towards bettering their education. And then, of course, hopefully that has magnifying effects on their career. So, biggest takeaways from 529s: good tax benefits, not usually upfront deductions at a federal level, potentially at a state. Earnings are going to grow, tax deferred, and when you take it out, it's tax free as long as you spend it on qualified education expenses. That growth component, you can invest it in different options inside of there. Normally, you'll want to start out more aggressive. As your kid gets closer to college age, of course, you'll want to scale it back and be more conservative so you're not subject to big market volatility the year before you need it, but you do have investment choices inside of there. The biggest limitation to it is that you can only spend it on qualified education expenses. So, if you were to decide that helping your kid with the down payment on a house or buying them a car or maybe buying an apartment and then renting it out to their friends, whatever maybe was a way that you wanted to help them, 529 wouldn't enable you to do so. But it's a great starting point to making an impact on your kids' financial future. And I love the fact that multiple people, if there are other family members that want to contribute and help them, can put money into it. So that's all for now. 529s this week. We'll talk about UTMAs next week. Thanks, guys. Bye.